CBI Iraq Central Bank Press Release 7/22/20190 Comments. July 21, 2019 Press Release. Some social media outlets broadcast a video clip showing some categories of the Iraqi currency in boxes marked with the name of the Central Bank of Iraq, which provoked a crackdown on smuggling of the Iraqi currency. While the bank denies any smuggling operation, it would like to state the following. 1. The funds offered do not belong to the central bank, and differ from the special funds in the Iraqi currency in terms of shape, color, material and size. 2. The central bank followed up with the security authorities, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and embassies of the countries mentioned in the video clip. Note that there are previous cases proved by the search, by the security services, not completely correct. 3. So far, these papers have not been found and have not been publicly displayed in any country, and the current investigations have proved to be only pictures and films. 4. The central bank prints its currency in the global printing houses, and monitors its production, from the paper making to the final version, according to tables and serial numbers to check every stage until it is received in Iraq. 5. We warn of the confusion that is taking place with the aim of undermining the country and its successful institutions, including the central bank. The sooner one of these institutions succeeds domestically and internationally, the more they come under such slander. The attack comes in line with the announcement of the bank's growth of reserves and control of the exchange rate. In order to reduce the success finally, the central bank calls on all media to be careful in dealing with the news, because inaccurate news has negative effects on the stability of the banking and financial system in Iraq. Al-Isai, the deep state is the biggest mafia of corruption and its dominance cannot be reduced. July 22, 2019 9:40. The leader of the National Wisdom Movement, Abbas al-Isai, that the deep state is the biggest mafia of corruption in Iraq. The deep state in Iraq is a considerable number of officials, ministers, agents and senior managers who got positions in the country after 2003. Now they control the Iraqi money and the contractors and build a network of relationships that enabled them all. Isai said in a statement received by the agency the money they have received from the purchase of the debts of the officials and all those who wish to see him from the matter and in ways that have been adapted to the law. I do not think there is a corruption-fighting institution capable of controlling and limiting their dominance over the state and the government, because there are circles, seminars, and money that have bought many of the decision-making joints in our country, he said. Washington threatens to include new Iraqi characters with U.S. sanctions. July 22, 2019. U.S. President Donald Rumsfeld's advisor, Gabriel Samo, has threatened to include new Iraqi figures with U.S. sanctions, while refusing to present evidence against the 4 men who have recently been sanctioned. The United States has included Ryan Chaldean on the list of U.S. sanctions because he cut off the permission of one of the detainees and looted the homes of the displaced and seized land and sold them illegally, Samo said in remarks carried by all. Malama. He added that America will present evidence and documents that condemn the 4 personalities in a timely manner, noting that the Iraqi government or Chaldean recourse to the U.S. Judiciary to challenge the recent sanctions. The possibility of including new Iraqi personalities on the U.S. sanctions list, Samo said, noting that 680 people have been affected by U.S. sanctions so far. Parliament is moving to strip military leaders of their foreign nationality and prevent their travel. July 22, 2019. The Security and Defense Committee in the House of Representatives on Monday revealed a parliamentary approach to the issuance of a resolution to strip military and security leaders of their foreign nationality and prevent their travel abroad. Without official action. The subject of nationality includes all the officials in the special grades, but the politician is a thing and the agent in the security services is something else, said Falih al-Isai, a member of the committee. It is not logical for someone to be present in these bodies and to defend the security, country and economy and has a foreign nationality. Al-Isai added that parliamentary mobility does not include officers of the army only, but all officials in sensitive grades in the government departments, and it is unacceptable that the officers have a foreign nationality. Asserting that last week the issue was raised in Parliament strongly, the army and in sensitive places security concerns the security of the state and have the nationalities of other countries and their families in other countries. We expect during the meetings of the House of Representatives to ask the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to provide the Parliament with the names of officers who have other nationalities because it is a serious issue and touches the security of the country. The officer must abandon his second nationality or leave the post. Legal status indicates 17 suspicions of corruption in the work of the central bank. July 22, 2019. The Iraqi Center for Legal Development, ICLD, Monday, revealed 17 corruption suspicions that have plagued the work of the CBI over the past years. The center said in its report to the Supreme Council for the Fight Against Corruption that the previous investigations did not take place in an integrated manner, causing the door to keep corruption open to impact negatively on the Iraqi economy. noting that the previous investigations focused on the authenticity of invoices issued by banks and companies in form only, pointing to the need to ensure the official authorities on the fact of the import of goods and goods amounts equal to the amounts of remittances, and if it proves, it will prove a complex crime of fraud and smuggling of funds and damage to the Iraqi economy. The report pointed to the lack of verification of international banks that have been diverted amounts of remittances to them, and inquire about the fact of receipt of the relevant parties or to convert them again in favor of other accounts, whether in the same bank or other banks, and here will prove the crime of currency smuggling in a reliable manner. The central bank has doubled the number of banks in Iraq to almost 3 times without a feasibility study to exceed the number of Iraqi banks. Number of banks of the countries of Britain, the UAE, Jordan and Lebanon, which opened the door to new corruption, the sale and purchase of licenses establishment, calling for verification of the licenses of banking companies granted in the past 3 years, and verification of banks belonging to political or supported by it, which will reveal political corruption, concluding with the demand also verify the exaggeration in building the central bank building to be built. Deputy reveals corruption suspicions worth $50 million. July 22, 2019. The head of the alliance in the province of Diyala, MP Burhan Memori, on Monday, there are suspicions of corruption in the contract processing trains DMU, indicating that the value of waste with public money up to $50 million. All. Memori said in a statement received by the Supreme Council for Combating Corruption under an official letter to conduct an investigation into suspicions of corruption related to the contract for the processing of DMU trains number 37 for the year 2012. He pointed out the existence of waste of public money as a result of manipulation of the contract paragraphs worth up to $50 million. Quotation mark. Al-Memori added that on December 15, 2012, the contract was signed with the Chinese company DEC for $138 million. The cost of the contract was determined according to the required technical specifications. There is only one technical annex, can only be changed if a spare order is organized. Al-Memori explained that there is no spare order for this contract. This was confirmed by the Contracts and Commercial Affairs section number 718 of November 5, 2016, which means that there is no change in any of the terms of the contract, receipt under contract and technical annex. The inspection committee and the receiving committee must be examined and received under the attached technical annex to the contract, revealing the existence of substantial contractual irregularities that have led to the emergence of technical problems that can only be addressed by changing the designs entirely, Memori said. He added that the Chinese company does not recognize these violations and do not want to address them in coordination with the Iraqi cadres, because the recognition of these violations indicates the shortening of the two sides, indicating a difference in the quality of the main engine, the agreed of a certain quality, and the contract implemented on a different quality, difference in prices up to approximately $6 million. Quotation mark. Al-Memori added that there is a difference in the main generator. It is supposed that the contractor, according to the required specifications, will be of the kind of Cummins, the port of type Caterpillar, and the difference between the two engines is $2 million, adding, it was in the Ridge, the main buck, and the difference amounts to $4 million. The contract also included a difference in the number of tow engines. The contractor has 144 American origin towing engines, currently executing 96 tow engines of Chinese origin at a price difference of $17 million. There is a difference in design. The entire train, being designed to work on rail lines with American specifications or better than, contrary to the contract, and the work on the Iraqi lines. The judiciary demands lifting the immunity of MPs accused of corruption and expediting administrative investigation. July 22, 2019. The head of the Supreme Judicial Council, Judge Faik Zaidan, on Monday, the House of Representatives to lift the immunity of its members accused of corruption cases while taking executive duties, while stressing the cooperation between all organs in the field of integrity issues. The statement added that the President of the Supreme Judicial Council stressed the provision of services to citizens and referral of simple cases to other investigative bodies to make room for the Commission of Integrity and the Specialized Judiciary to consider cases of corruption and devote only to important issues. A statement issued by the Media Center of the Supreme Judicial Council, received a copy of which the President of the Supreme Judicial Council, Judge Faik Zaidan, met with the Chief Prosecutor General Moaffaq al-Abidi, the head of the Judicial Supervision, Judge Jassim Mohammed Aboud, and the Director General of the Investigation Department of the Integrity Commission, Karim Al-Ghazi. He said. The statement added that Judge Faik Zaidan discussed with the attendees the joint efforts between the Supreme Judicial Council and the Integrity Commission in the fight against corruption and identify the positive and negative aspects in this file and focus on the competence of the Commission on Integrity and the elimination of large corruption cases that caused clear negative effects on the national economy. He pointed out that the president of the Supreme Judicial Council appealed to all the sides to support the cooperation with the Judiciary and the Integrity Commission to bring charges of corruption cases to the courts, including the Council of Representatives to lift the immunity of the deputies required to lift immunity from those accused of committing administrative corruption during their work in the executive field, as well as ministries and agencies not linked to the ministry, and the speed of completion of the administrative investigation required in cases that require it. At the same time, he called for rapid response to questions of the Integrity and Judicial Commission in the event of inquiring about matters relating to cases before the courts. Parliamentary movements to question and dismiss the finance minister if he continued breaking the law. July 22, 2019. A member of the Finance Committee Parliamentary Thamar Deben, on Monday, that there are parliamentary movements to question the Minister of Finance after handing over amounts to the region contrary to the law, indicating that the Minister of Finance will be fired from his office in the event of insisting on the delivery of these amounts to the region, oil stipulated in the budget law. The budget has obliged the region to hand over revenues of 250,000 barrels to the company Sumo, but the provincial government did not comply with this and worked to breach the budget, and the Minister of Finance, Fahad Hossain, a major role in this breach, he said in a statement to the Minister of Finance, recorded a negative point because he transferred funds to Kurdistan without delivering oil imports to the company Sumo. Quotation mark. He explained that the Minister of Finance hosted in the Finance Committee of the Parliamentary to clarify the subject of oil imports, in addition to hosting the concern in the Ministry of Oil, where the committee was handed an official letter from the ministry confirms the non-delivery of the territory any imports to this day, noting that on the import of oil, and in the event that these amounts were not delivered by Erbil to Baghdad during the current budget, where there will be a serious pause when preparing the budget next year. Quotation mark. He pointed out that the information received confirms that the Kurdistan regional government does not hand over the salaries of the employees of Kurdistan. The salaries have been distributed for a few months and have not been fully handed over. The Kurdish people have been defeated, especially since the sums are given to the governors who must hand over their salaries to the employees, stressing that there is a parliamentary move to question the Minister of Finance, and in the event of his insistence on the transfer of funds to the region will be questioned and dismissed from then. Iran disappeared billion euros earmarked for import. Economy, 933-21-07-2019, Reuters, 8 billion euros $1.12 billion earmarked for imports of medicines and commodities has disappeared, the head of the office of Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said in a speech to ministers of industry, agriculture and public health. Mahmoud Faisi, head of the office of the Iranian presidency, asked in the letter to explain what happened to the imports promised by those who received foreign currency at the government exchange rate, the Sunday Post reported on Sunday. Due to the sharp devaluation of the Iranian currency in recent years, the government now allocates foreign currencies at cheaper exchange rates for importers of medicines, foodstuffs, raw materials and other commodities that are already approved. These importers are obliged to purchase and transport goods previously approved to Iran. The official exchange rate in Iran is 42,000 rials against the dollar, but the market price is about 130,000 rials against the dollar at the beginning of July, according to the Jerusalem Post. The official price is aimed at protecting Iranian consumers from sharp jumps in prices because of U.S. sanctions on Iran. But Faisi said about 849 million euros earmarked for the import of commodities and another $130 million earmarked for drugs, which were granted to companies, had disappeared, according to the Daily Al-Sharq. He accused 20 companies of not importing the goods they promised to bring to the country legally. The head of the presidential office also sent a letter to the Central Bank of Iran and demanded legal action on the issue. Health Minister Saad Namaki has reportedly arrested a group of ministry officials for complicity in corruption plots involving the import of medicines and medical equipment, the Jerusalem Post said. Some importers had received 2 million euros to import heart pumps, but they instead imported electric cables and fled the country, he said. Earlier in July, Radio Farda reported that Iran had spent government funds earmarked for essential medical supplies on cigarette imports. $170 million has been allocated from the government-subsidized currency to import tobacco, while another $16 million has been allocated for the import of cigarette paper, according to Deputy Health Minister Ali Reza Riasi. The money was supposed to be spent on importing basic medical supplies, he said.